Hi, I'm the Hijacker, and I'm here on my own here in the studio at Colors City Liverpool online radio station, and pretty much we have recorded a special episode, me and James Brooksbank, on the Defenders. We did a series review, and it was really excellent. And then the card went missing. Apologies for that, James. And so, yeah, that was messed up. So, also, we were supposed to record yesterday, hopefully covering the Game of Thrones finale as well as the Twin Peaks finale, which Brooksbank hasn't seen yet. So, again, disappointed. And but here we are at the end of summer, moving into the fall, and so what I thought I would do is, I guess I would be on my own, as you can see today, and covering the end of series over the summer that we've been talking about. So pretty much I think I can do it, you know what I mean, but it might be fast, might be long. We'll see how it goes and everything else like that. And but please look out for the Essentials to return in full force with our full team here at Colors in the fall, where we'll talk about all the new shows, especially the superhero ones that are coming out. So, first of all, the Defenders. So, awesome. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, first of all, what we have to say is that Danny Rand, Finn Jones, has really redeemed himself in the Defenders. I mean, a lot of people were saying that they should have done the Defenders first and then did the series of Iron Fist. And, you know, I still believe that, you know, everything is Scott Buck's fault. But either way you look at it is that Finn Jones did a great job. And the best thing about the Defenders is the chemistry between Luke and Danny. I mean, Mike Colter and Finn Jones really pull it off well. They only had maybe about, 3 or 4 key scenes together, but they really actually portrayed Luke and Danny straight out of the comic books, man. It was straight out of the comic books. Just as Jim Kelly would say, these guys had very good chemistry together. From the beginning, when Danny is wondering how come he can't knock down this big bulletproof black man, to when they're sitting there like sour little boys as Claire brings them together for the first time, forcing them to sit down and get to know each other. And, that could be a really awkward scene, but they really came off well. And I think Danny's character, people are not giving him enough credit. He's Finn is playing him as a man of Arrested Development. He grew up in the temple after his parents died, been trained to make his body a living weapon, and all he really wanted was to go home. And that's what the series tried to play out. Now, a lot of people say it's because of his lack of fighting skills, and, it was the rushness of trying to put the series together. And, yeah, okay, so there was a lot of fighting in the dark through stuntmen, and, and Finn's not being able to pull off the daylight fighting. But I've always said that first fight sequence where he kicks the elevator button, I thought was fantastic, But, yes, I mean, not the best of fighting, but hey, what are we going to do? We've already talked about Iron Fist when we looked at that, and I'm trying to look at just the Defenders. So, color palette, excellent. I love how they mix the 4 different color schemes, where we are reintroduced to our characters and their worlds, and they are on a singular focus, a singular mission that converges into Midland Circle, where they all meet for the first time in episode 3. I think the way they put this series together was really amazing, especially knowing that they only had 8 episodes. We're introduced to the phenomenal Sigourney Weaver's character of Alexandra, and everybody's wondering who she's going to be. Is she going to be Typhoid Mary? Is she going to be some other female villain that we recognize from the comics? And it turns out that what they did was they did something that they've never done in the comics. We've always had the Hand. We've always had, this band of faceless ninjas that Daredevil, Iron Fist, all the various characters had to fight. And it was great to see on splash pages, but because we had the Marvel movies where we got the Chitauri and we got the Ultron robots, what I'm really appreciative about the Defenders is that they didn't give us those big nonsensical battle sequences with, automatons and robots and androids and faceless ninjas. They decided to say, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to actually kind of like, there's a reason why they're called the Hand. And I think that when I've been looking at other, commentaries on the series, people haven't looked at that. And so that's one thing we could talk about is the villains of this series. So the Hand, the five fingers of the Hand, turns out to be five diverse members of Kunlun students. Now remember, Kunlun is all about the capital cities of heaven, and it's all about immortality. So these Kunlun students realize that the blood or the bone marrow of the dragon, Shao Lao the Undying, is the secret of immortality. So what they decided to do was they decided to go against peace and go for self-preservation and create this offshoot called the Hand. And in that aspect, Sigourney Weaver is like the head of this Hand. And Madame Gao, or who we hopefully know to believe is Crane Mother, from the 7 capital cities of heaven, is also a member. And then there are the other 3 members, which is like Magoto, the guy from Iron Fist, the bad guy from Iron Fist. Then they introduced a black character called Sawande, which was interesting. He was first known as the White Hat, introducing Luke Cage's thing, and then now it's like he's one of the members of the Hand. And which is great about that is the diversity of the Kunlun students, which is why I debated that it was probably members from the different capital cities of heaven, which is really nice. And then there was this guy who, was like a lone wolf. We are introduced to him as he's ripping out the guts of a moon bear and everything. And those are the 5 members of the Hand. So then we're introduced to Stick, reintroduced to Stick, who is the last of the chase, because in the opening sequence in Defenders, this guy who a lot of people confused to think was the Punisher when they saw it at the Comic-Con. He's not. He was like the last surviving member of the chase and everything, and he's the one who tells Danny Rand that he has to go back to New York and everything. And so now Stick is completely on his own, and he realizes that, hey, now when he was in Daredevil, he never mentioned Iron Fist, and that's because the series was on its own. They didn't know they were going to do an Iron Fist series. It would have been nice if they did mention him, but so now he realizes that he has to find the Iron Fist. And he gets captured by Alexandra and Elektra, who is again girl he raised, and he realizes is now alive, and he has to sacrifice his own hand to go and find Danny. And luckily enough, Danny is already in the mix of putting together Defenders. So it's kind of like, he has Wind of the Future, if you will, and that's how they all meet as Royal Dragon. So, first they meet at Midland Circle. They have the big hallway sequence that we've seen, and Daredevil realizes that Elektra is alive, and Jessica realizes that Luke is back, and there's a lot of different interplays in there, and they all converge into the Royal Dragon, which I thought was one of the best scenes of the series. A lot of people thought it slowed down the series. I mean, like, you can't have something that's constant action. You really can't. I mean, you have to be able to have this hills and valleys, and this was great. It was great character development. Danny even says it that, hey man, shut up. This is the most information I got in like a whole series, right? So, I mean, Danny gets to realize his connection to the Hand, his connection to Stick and the Chase War. And also, what I wanted to say there is that I think that in that hallway sequence when Daredevil uses Jessica's scarf to hide his identity, it's the headscarf looks a lot like the future Danny Rand yellow mask. So it's really clear that when Daredevil decides that, hey, look, man, I might not get out of this, and he tells Danny in his ear that you have to protect my city, or defend my city, but they use the word protect, and our final shot of Danny on the rooftop, it would have been great if he had some kind of mask on, especially yellow. But at least he's wearing the green and yellow tracksuit, so that's all good. And also, we're confirmed for having an Iron Fist season 2 finally. So, I mean, either way, the series was great. The Defenders was a non-team. I also wanted to talk about that. In the comic books, when the Defenders first came out, when it was the Hulk, Doctor Strange, Namor, and Submariner, it was really built on them being a non-team. They were like not the Avengers, but they were people who handled supernatural enemies. But here they handle street level enemies. They're not the gods above our city. They know of the Battle of New York and the incident, but they are rather really just trying to protect their neighborhoods, and I think that's great. And I think it's great how they all came together under the Midland Circle, where obviously Danny was the key, and they needed his Iron Fist to open up the wall to reveal the bones of a dragon, which was really kind of cool. So now on the one hand, it makes you wonder how many dragons are there. How many skeleton bones? I mean, this was supposed to be like the last one. Like Alexandra makes a big point of like she sacrificed her final bone marrow blood to raise, bringing Elektra back to life and everything, and then Elektra kills her. Spoiler alert, but you knew it, because, I mean, this is so far past the end of the Defenders. I mean, this is all going to be spoilers, everything I'm talking about today. So anyway, there's a dragon under the city. That's what this whole thing has been about ever since Daredevil 1 and everything. And it's all about the bone marrow of immortality. Now, they say that the skeleton dragon should also lead them to Kunlun, back home. And so when Madame Gao disappears in the shadows, does she go back to Kunlun? Does she go back to one of the 7 capital cities of heaven? We will find that out, hopefully. So now let's look at, so the heroes come together. Daredevil seemingly sacrifices himself for them to get out, tells them to get out and everything. And, and let's look at where they go. Let me just say before that, when they're going up in the elevator, Jessica, Luke, and Iron Fist, the elevator is about to snap. And Jessica looks up and everything, and she jumps up and, she grabs the elevator cable and, the elevator itself. Danny's like, whoa, what the hell did she do that? To me, I think that was her one moment of flying. Even though she doesn't fly them out, she flies up to the cable or leaps up to the cable. And I'm curious as to why they chose not to have her fly. And maybe it's because she's supposed to be this grounded character. If she all of a sudden started flying and they saw her flying, that it would have been like, well, she's no longer reason to be sardonic as she has been. But with her new series coming, the question will be is now that she's now committed to being a private eye again, Alias Investigations, will she fly? We also heard that Kilgrave is coming back. Will it just be in flashbacks? Or will he somehow have survived? We know Trisha will be in there. Will she finally become Hellcat? So that's what's happening with Jessica Jones. But we also know that she and Luke meets in the coffee shop. She's never really talked to Claire. He's never really mentioned that Claire's his woman. But I guess she knows that Luke has that kind of thing, that he's honorable, because she says, hey, maybe we have some coffee. And Luke looks like, maybe we will. So, maybe they will. Hopefully, now that they've all met, that when they do their season 2s, they can at least appear in their episodes. We all were looking forward to someone appearing in someone else's episode in their previous seasons, but now that they all know each other exist, and they are the Defenders, hopefully in their season 2s, because we got Jessica Jones, we got Luke Cage, has already been shot, we got the Punisher has been shot, and Daredevil will go into production, as well as Iron Fist. Hopefully that will happen. Oh, wait a minute. So that's what happened with Jessica. Jessica's private eye again. Luke is going to go back to be the hero of Harlem and everything. And Misty pretty much kind of like, burned all of her bridges, and she lost her arm. Finally, we got Misty losing her arm. They teased that in Luke Cage, but now it's finally gone. As well as she's like, who's the chick with the sword? And now Colleen is hanging out with her. And as another female, she's still Danny's girlfriend, but she now feels that she has a friend in Misty, because Misty was the only one kind of there for her, along with Claire. So we definitely got the Daughters of the Dragon, and Colleen says that this hospital state of the art, it's Rand, and they could probably do something about that arm thing. So we've already seen set pictures on YouTube where Misty's got their bionic arm. So it's like hopefully that's a early issue of it. I still don't think that the problem with the arm somehow having on it or opening up a box that says Stark Tech. I really don't see a problem with that. You don't need Tony Stark to open up a box that says Stark, especially when you shouldn't have the rights to use the name Stark. So, I mean, Rand can build an arm, sure, but Stark can build an iron arm that is really special. So hopefully they will give us that kind of Easter egg. So we definitely know that like Luke Cage is shot already, Misty's on set with the bionic arm and everything like that. So hopefully, you know, she could bring the chick with the sword, the Daughters of the Dragon, or that kid with the glowing fist who's trying to defend Harlem until Daredevil comes back. So with Daredevil, we get at the end the teaser of Matt is alive, possibly saved by Elektra, taken to a nunnery where Maggie is, which everybody knows who read Born Again is Matt's mother, the nun, and everything. So everybody's hoping that we're going to get Born Again. They say we are. And in Born Again, Kingpin hopefully will finally show up. I mean, only thing is I feel sorry for Vincent D'Onofrio because he's one of those great actors who, you know, like De Niro, you know, gains weight, loses weight, gains weight, loses weight. You know, so I don't know what he's been doing of late. I haven't really noticed any films he's been doing of late, but, you know, for him to return to this character, I know he probably really wants to. So it would really be great to see him as the Kingpin in Daredevil Season 3. I mean, I think all roads move to that. We keep talking about he'll be here in this one, he'll be here in this one. He might even show up in The Punisher. You never know. I mean, because he had that altercation with The Punisher in Daredevil Season 2. So we hopefully hope that Vincent D'Onofrio will pack on the pounds again to become the Kingpin. And then finally, with Danny's second series not being shot yet because he's in training, you know, and they're going to start shooting next year, he'll have hopefully the skill set to pull off the fight sequences. But a lot of people are speculating, why do Iron Fist 2? Why not just do Heroes for Hire? Why not just do Daughters of the Dragon? And the thing about it is, I think that they might just do that. I think Iron Fist 2 might be, you know, first part Heroes for Hire, second part Daughters of the Dragon. I think that makes very good sense, you know. So Iron Fist becomes the actual Defenders type of series that they move into Defenders 2 because they've already built up that relationship. So now coming into Defenders 2, you got Heroes for Hire where they're out, selling their hero antics for money. And, you know, you got Daughters of the Dragon who are doing their Nightwing restorations. And so you got a bunch of detectives having to come together for a mystery. That would be great. I think that would be a great idea. So anyway, so that's my full-on series review of the Defenders. Sorry, James. I mean, I'm trying to add in the stuff that you mentioned. And I mean, because you were really excited and impressed by it all, but I just felt that we needed to get that out there. So this has been essential. I'm going to, you know, record my impressions of Twin Peaks as well as Game of Thrones. But have to do those in sessions because I don't want the camera cut off on me. So thank you for watching. This is a Hijacker. Remember, Essentials in the fall. Check us out on Colors. Peace. Color.